you, everybody, for coming to the College Football Betting with Aaron Torres YouTube channel. If you could do me a quick favor, see that little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. Go ahead, click that subscribe button. It helps our channel grow. It helps our audience grow. I appreciate it more than you know, as we're talking college football on this channel year-round. Appreciate your support. Click that subscribe button. Our college football over-under win total shows are rolling on. If you've missed any of them, a quick reminder, this is different than the Aaron Torres pod. We're just going through all the big programs in college football, looking at last season, looking ahead to this year, and everything you need to know, looking at the over-under win totals for every team. At this point, we've done virtually all the big schools in the SEC, Texas, Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, and we've done a good chunk of the Big Ten as well. Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Today, we're going to pivot, go into the world of independence, and talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Unbelievable season, one game short of a national championship. Let's talk Notre Dame, because there is a lot to get into. Okay, as far as last year is concerned, listen, again, we don't need to spend a ton of time on last year because you know how it ended. By the way, if you want more Notre Dame coverage, Torres on ND. We have our team-specific Twitter accounts, Torres on ND. We have a bunch of them, Torres on ND, for all of your Notre Dame coverage. All right, so last year, listen, I think last year was just a fascinating season because everybody focuses on how it ended. I think it's easy to forget how it started, though, right? Because you open week one, Kyle Field, 102,000 people going crazy. And Notre Dame goes into Texas A&M and gets the win. And you sit there and say, oh my goodness, they're going to go undefeated. Could they be the number one seed in this new 12-team college football playoff? Then a week later, Northern Illinois walks into Notre Dame Stadium, ends up beating them. And you say, what did I just watch? Did that Texas A&M win mean nothing? Did that Northern Illinois? What is the real Notre Dame? Well, to their credit, they bounce back. They just start beating everybody and beating everybody pretty convincingly. Next game, you beat Purdue 66-7. You beat Miami of Ohio. You go through the season. Listen, to me, when I think that I was like, okay, Notre Dame is for real, that final 4-game stretch, you destroy. I know Florida State was terrible, but when you win 52-3 against Florida State, it's like, oh, okay, they're for real. You beat, remember, it's easy to forget this, a very good Army team. It's not even competitive. Then you go to the LA Coliseum. You beat them up as well. You finish the regular season 11-1. We know you're going to the college football playoff. Once they get to the playoff, listen, the Indiana game was unbelievable, dominant win. I think the Georgia game was the game where everybody was like, oh, this team, they might end up doing this thing, man. We all remember that Georgia game, the tragedy on New Year's Eve, postponed the game one day. They play in the middle of the afternoon on January 2nd. And that game was just surreal, right? Because it's close, it's back and forth. You kick the field goal right before half. You recover the fumble. You score out of halftime. All of a sudden, a close game was completely one-sided. Notre Dame wins that one. They beat Penn State. And I get it. They do fall to Ohio State. And to quote Herm Edwards, you play to win the game. Nobody's happy finishing in second place, but it was an incredible season for the Irish. And I think it sets up a fascinating 2025 where I think Notre Dame very much could get back into that playoff race, get back into the national championship race this coming season. In terms of this season, listen, let's start on the offensive side of the ball because I'm fascinated by the new starting quarterback, CJ Carr, okay? This is the interesting part. 0 career pass attempts. He is replacing Riley Leonard, a multi-year starter across college football, Duke and Notre Dame. The year before, Sam Hartman was one of the most, tenured quarterbacks in the history of college football in terms of career start. So you go from back-to-back seasons in which you have these veteran, super experienced quarterbacks to CJ Carr, who has never thrown a meaningful college pass as a member of any team, let alone the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Now, I will say this about Notre Dame because I think it's important. To me, what stands out about CJ Carr is the fact that Notre Dame really didn't go after a quarterback in the portal, right? And this is a program that, listen, we just mentioned it. They haven't been afraid to go after veteran quarterbacks if they don't believe the guys in the room are ready. And so the fact that they didn't go get a quarterback in the winter, the fact that when Nico Iamaleava was available, they were not interested. The fact that when Steve Angeli, the backup who was competing with CJ Carr for the starting spot loses the job. They don't really actively try to replace him. It means that they believe in this kid, and I am so excited to see what he can do. Good news for CJ Carr. He ain't going to have to do it alone. Jeremiah Love. Listen, I don't know if we're going to have time to do a Heisman show, like a preview and a picks, a predictions or whatever. I just bring it up because you want to start talking about dark horse Heisman candidates. I think Jeremiah Love has to be in the short conversation of dudes that can win the Heisman that we're not necessarily talking about the way that we are Garrett Nussmeier, Cade Klubnik, guys like that. 19 total touchdowns, including 17 on the ground, 5 separate games of 100-plus yards rushing, 7 yards per carry. And as the preseason All-American teams roll out, he is on essentially all of them. The other thing about CJ Carr, not only Jeremiah Love, this might be the deepest group of wide receivers that they have had at Notre Dame basically in this entire era that dates back to Brian Kelly. Look at this receiver room. Jaden Greathouse is back, 42 catches, 592 yards, 4 touchdowns last year. Jordan Faison is back, 30 catches, 1 TD. Malachi Fields, as you can see on the screen, the transfer from Virginia, over 100 catches combined the last 2 years, 1,600 yards, 5 touchdowns in 2024, 5 touchdowns in 2023. So he's established. And don't sleep on Will Pauling, 42 catches a season ago at Wisconsin. 2023, 74 catches, 837 yards. And this is a deep group. This is a deep group. You know what else is deep? That O-line. What's crazy is they lost a couple guys with starting experience. Pat Coogan goes to Indiana. You have the other kid that goes to Nebraska. Well, I bring it up because all 5 starters on this line have starting experience, both offensive tackles, Anthony Knapp and Emil Wagner, significant starting experience. It's, again, going to be one of the best O-lines in college football. And it's, again, going to open up that ground game, which I think is going to make it easier on the quarterback room. I don't think this offense is slowing down one bit. Defensively, this is where it gets interesting. Al Golden is gone. He was the defensive coordinator. He is out. He has gone off to the NFL. What's interesting is he is replaced by Chris Ash. Remember Chris Ash? Remember that name? Ohio State. He was at Ohio State during the Urban Meyer era. And I just bring it up because, listen, I'm not a scheme expert, but my guess is that this team barely misses a beat with Chris Ash at coordinator. They were so good last year. They lose a lot, but they return a lot as well. Couple things about last year's defense overall. Top 10 in pass defense. That secondary was elite. Top 10 in scoring defense as well. This is the other note. 33 total turnovers forced, led all of college football. Now, they obviously played 16 games, so most teams pretty much played 13. So that, but still, 33 forced turnovers is insane. Let's get to some of the individual players that will be playing for Chris Ash. First of all, on the defensive line, yes, there were some losses. But also, I'll say this too, and I know I'm going in a lot of different directions. What's interesting to me, you can look at the extended season as a negative or a positive. Yeah, it's more games, and you had some injuries. It also allowed other guys to get reps that otherwise might not have, okay? And so you look at some of the guys that are going to be part of this team and part of this defense on the defensive line. Bubakar Traore only played 5 games, will put up nice stats. Donovan Hinsich, as you can see, 35 tackles, 4.5 TFLs, 4.5 sacks a season ago. Those guys will anchor a defensive line that is kind of rotating some guys in after Riley Mills, Harold Cross graduate off of last year's team. The other name, Bryce Young, had a couple big moments in the college football playoff. I could be mistaken. I think he had a couple offsides penalties that drove everybody crazy, but he is an unquestioned talent. Obviously, his father, the NFL legend. Linebacker room, yes, you lose Jack Kaiser, but plenty of talent. I think Drake Bowen, as you can see on the screen, a name to know, 78 catches, 4 TFLs, 1 sack. Should I try the name Kingston Vilamu Asa? If I butchered that name, I apologize. Names are not my area of expertise, but that kid was basically a 5-star out of California 2 cycles ago, had 37 tackles and 2.5 TFLs as a true freshman. Jaden Ausberry back as well. And then the secondary, as you can see, Leonard Moore gets plenty of experience. A year ago, was a freshman All-American, 48 tackles, 34 solo tackles, 2 INTs. And I think this might be the deepest group, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Devontae Smith transferred in from Alabama. I can tell you, I know people who cover Alabama. That was one Kalen DeBoer was not expecting. And listen, I don't want to make it sound bad, but I think of all the guys that transferred, that was the one that they were most like, darn, we would have liked to keep him. But Devontae Smith is back. Christian Gray, another guy who got experience because of injuries in the college football playoff. 3 interceptions, 9 PBUs a season ago. Aiden Schuler, another guy who got plenty of experience because of injuries, 59 tackles, 5 PBUs, 3 INTs as a freshman. Let's talk schedule, because to me, this is where it gets intriguing if you're Notre Dame. Schedule is interesting, especially with, again, the quarterback who has made 0 starts as a college quarterback and actually thrown 0 passes as a college quarterback. You open week 1 at Miami. Now, Miami lost a ton as well. Miami has a new quarterback as well. Miami's quarterback is the exact opposite of CJ Carr. It's Carson Beck. He is coming off injury. He did not have a spring. But listen, I think everybody, it's easy to make fun of Carson Beck, right? It just is. I mean, let's just be honest. It's just easy to make fun of him. 2 years ago, he was one of the best quarterbacks in college football, and people thought he was going to be a first-round pick. So that's a tough one on that Sunday night to open college football this season. Then this is where it gets interesting. Bye week in week 2 before you play Texas A&M at home. To me, it isn't inconceivable to say, and it's actually probably likely, that your 2 toughest games will be in the first 2 weeks of the regular season. So at Miami, Texas A&M, that return game. A&M, if you missed that preview, we did it, but that O-line is going to be deep. Le'Veon Moss may be the best running back in all of college football. Bring it up because after that, a couple of intriguing ones at Arkansas. Listen, I know Arkansas, they don't look like much on paper, but I would say Talon Green, Bobby Petrino calling plays. I've been to Razorback Stadium. That place is huge. It can get loud. So you have at Arkansas, Boise at home, NC State at home. And I think that USC game, listen, we're going to do our USC preview coming up here in the next few days. USC should be much better. Frankly, they can't be much worse. So that's where it gets intriguing. I think the back half of the schedule you should feel pretty good about. Navy, we know the triple option, but Notre Dame's got that thing figured out. Syracuse is probably the one that catches my attention. Obviously, Steve Angeli, their starting quarterback, and then you close at Stanford. All right, over-under win total, looking at that schedule and looking at this roster, it's 10.5. Okay, so I have an interesting bet as far as Notre Dame is concerned. So the 10.5 is the highest number in all of college football. Penn State and Ohio State are the 2 teams with 10.5 outside of Notre Dame. I bring it up, I would not bet that 10.5 because I think the toughest part of the schedule is week 1, week 2, and you have a freshman quarterback, redshirt freshman admittedly, but a freshman quarterback who has not played meaningful snaps. It's just hard to sit there and say that you feel really good about Notre Dame going 2-0 or even 1-1 in those 2 games. I mean, I'm not trying to be negative. I think 0-2 is absolutely in play. And you could lose that over-under win total before we even hit the middle of September, okay? What I will say, though, I trust this program. And when I say I trust this program, what I mean is this, is that, yes, CJ Carr is new, but look at everywhere else. The defense has always been elite the last 5-6 years. The O-line has always been elite the last 5 or 6 years. And this is maybe the deepest wide receiver room they have. And Jeremiah Love is a preseason All-American. And so I bring it up because if I had to make a bet, I would stay away from the over-under win total, and I would take some poor odds and just take Notre Dame to make the college football playoff. There's 12 spots. I feel very confident that they're going to get there. Is it 12-0? Is it 11-1? Is it 10-2? I don't know. And I know what you would say. Well, 10-2, are they going to get in over the 4th or 5th team from the SEC or the Big Ten? If Notre Dame's 10-2, they're getting to the college football playoff. And if they're not 10-2, I think we'll probably know it pretty early, and you can crumple up that ticket and throw it away. But no, I think Notre Dame is going to be back in the college football playoff. Rather than taking the over-under, I would just take the -190 to make the playoff because that's where I believe Notre Dame's value is here in the regular season. I will release my playoff 12 at some point on the Aaron Torres pod, but I think to me, they are a playoff team. To me, that is the best bet. Minus 190 of the DraftKings Sportsbook for Notre Dame. All right, I'll tell you what. I think that's it for this episode of College Football Betting. Couple quick reminders. One, make sure you are subscribed to our Torres on Notre Dame page. It's Torres on ND on Twitter. If you enjoyed this, if you enjoyed my coverage, find us on Twitter, Torres on ND. Also, make sure you subscribe to the College Football Betting podcast and YouTube channel. You can find us on podcast on Apple and Spotify. YouTube, do me a quick favor. If you're watching here, subscribe. We have hit 1,000 subscribers. I think we can get to 2,000 before the start of the season, but cannot do it without your support. So what we're going to do, we're going to get out of here for today. We'll come back and we will talk one of Notre Dame's great rivals, the USC Trojans, on the next episode of College Football Betting with Aaron Torres.